everyone, Ariel Adams here with aBlogtoWatch at JCK 2014, and I'm interviewing the Bulova president, Greg Thumm. Greg, thanks for speaking to us. So we're going to engage in a series of conversations about watches. And I think what's important is that you're not only running one of the most important watch brands in history, especially for American watch history, but you're also a serious watch guy, and you know a lot of information. Someone in your team called you what do they call a watch encyclopedia or watchopedia?
I've been called that.
How does that make you feel when someone calls you a watchopedia?
I've been in the business for so long, there's a lot of information that I've accumulated. Cool thing about watches is I learn something new every day.
Right. What'd you learn today?
I learned that there's a lot of new product out there, and we got a lot of competition.
But this is a competitive industry. You're used to that.
True, but the Bulova brand does have a unique white space, so we feel very comfortable.
So people need to know who you are, because I think unlike a lot of brand presidents or CEOs, you're actually a watchmaker.
I just like watchmaking because it was a connection to my dad.
Right.
And we did things together, and I was very good at repairing watches, and so I thought, well, instead of doing this at my kitchen table, I want to go to school and get a legitimate education. Fast
forward to today, you are the president of a big brand. Now, a lot of your colleagues are not watchmakers. They had a business background, they managed a shoe company, whatever. How did you go from being a watchmaker to being a watchmaking executive?
Well, that's an interesting story. First of all, when I graduated from watchmaking school, I opened a small jewelry store in Warren, Ohio, which is my hometown. And after 3 years of working at the bench, selling retail diamonds and jewelry and other things that are sold in jewelry stores, I got a phone call from my school, and they asked me if they have permission to pass my name onto a watch company by the name of Gruen. Gruen was an importing company at that time, and they were looking for someone to guide them technically for their watch production, and so they thought that they'd see if they could get a watchmaking graduate to join their company. Oh,
interesting. So you went from, I guess, retail, and then you went to being like some type of a technical director or something like that.
That's exactly what my title was.
Now that's a big move.
And so I thought, well, it may be more interesting to manufacture new watches than it is to restore old ones.
Right.
So I went and interviewed with them, and they made me an offer, and I decided to trade in my watch bench background and start working more as a manufacturing engineer for a watch company.
Now, I meet a lot of watchmakers, especially Swiss companies that have a watchmaking background, but they're in some type of more executive position like that, like some type of technical director. And a lot of them, they miss time at the bench. It's kind of this Zen-like experience, just you and the tools, quiet, and you have a project, and you have a goal to finish it, to fix it, to build it. Did you miss that? Do you still miss that?
Well, to be honest with you, I never gave up on my pastime of watchmaking.
Oh.
I had a functioning watch shop for years.
So how many other watchmakers are on your team right now?
Bulova, there's no one.
So it's you.
I'm the only one. Yeah.
So, do you ever feel lonely, like you're understanding all these concepts that these people aren't familiar with? Or does it give you a sense of power where you're like, you know what, I can make decisions, me and just me, and I don't have to run it by other people?
I don't do it that way. I've always believed to spread the gospel of what you learn, and I wanted to let everyone that works for me in on the reason why I believe people love watches.
Right.
So the nucleus or the cornerstone of what Bulova does today is we create product on an engineering standpoint, kind of from the inside out rather than from the outside in.
Now that's an interesting point, talking about from the inside out to the outside in, because so many watches are items that people classify as fashion, accessories, all types of related terms like that. I personally don't like those terms because I see a watch as being a tool. It can be attractive, it can be collectible, it can be artistic, but at its core, it's a tool. Now, it's really great to make an expensive collectible item, which is a tool, but what is the best way of creating a tool out of a product that still needs to be attractive to a mainstream consumer that needs to kind of be, I don't want to say deceived into buying a tool, but they need to buy a tool, but they also need to think it's sexy or attractive for themselves?
I guess to answer your question in a short period of time, because that's a pretty complicated question.
Yeah.
Is you could say like car companies spend years determining on how a door should sound when you slam it.
Right.
The emotional takeaway from owning something is how it works, how it makes you feel, and the kind of the formula of the engineer who was behind the product. So when you buy brand A, brand B, brand C, you do the decision-making process basically on which brand connects to your sensibilities.
Right.
And that's really what we're doing here at Bulova, is creating brand formulas based on a set of principles that are manufacturing guidelines. So when we draw that pretty picture on a piece of paper, we transform it through our guideline into the DNA of a Bulova watch.
So what are those principles? I mean, that's the core answer, you know.
Well, it's
how do people connect with Bulova? What are those things that they're looking for that, like, oh, I share those values?
Ergonomics, making the watch tailored to fit a human, making the corners sharp and defined so that your design stands out, but to make the watch fit and feel really great.